I'm only hoping that it works. Okay, so a couple things. We're going to start out with the Mimio, and then talk about Smart, and then talk about this is a classroom tool session. Okay, so the first thing on your Mimio, how to calibrate your Mimio. It should be set up to automatically keep the old calibration, but especially if you're in the middle school or the elementary school, you're on the first floor, your projector shakes all the time and it can easily move, and the way the vent system runs over there, the projectors shake. It runs terribly. But so sometimes you have to recalibrate. The calibration is the closest button to the cable. So if you hit this button, it brings up the calibration. It calibrates just like a smart board, in that it calibrates when you release the pin, not when you touch it. So you can touch it anywhere you want to, but you got to be in the X when you release it. Okay. So a lot of people go like this to make sure they get it in there. It's easier than banging it in the center of the pin. And it shouldn't release early. And if you have one that I was close and I know I was still pushing and all of a sudden it released, sometimes that means there's something going wrong with either receiver or the pen. Okay. On Mimios also, they can be very subject to stuff hanging around, because it is an IR receiver right here, and it is actually seeing the end of the pin. Well, not really seeing it. It's actually a radio / IR. I don't know what all it is, but it turns out if there's stuff hanging all over, it can really mess up with the signal.
Also known as elementary crap?
Yes, yes. I've had a lot of times that when I go to an elementary school room, the Mimio doesn't work at all, and you go like this and take all the stuff off, and then all of a sudden it magically works perfectly. Okay, so if yours is hung on the edge, it will work just fine. Mine's been on the edge the whole time I've had it. But if you like to hang lots of things and you want it to be closer to here, like some people requested, and we can remount it closer. Okay. Realize it's probably screwed into the board. You're going to have 2 screw holes left over, but you can put a magnet over that screw hole and it's fine. Okay. So the Mimio pen has 2 buttons on it. It's a left and a right mouse click. So if you're anywhere on the board and you're trying to right mouse click, the one further away is the right click. The one closer to is the left click. Although touching it like that is left clicking too. So you can go like this to pull up a right click menu and then click. And also you can push the button if you're really close. I really don't want to switch to like this. There are also buttons on the Mimio that you can configure to do different things, whatever you want to actually. So if I click this button, it's the reveal button on mine. So if I have something that I have hidden on my board, I can then slide in things on my board if I wanted to show part of a slide or something as I go. So that's what mine is configured for. I actually don't remember what this one does. I haven't used it. It's a spotlight tool. I don't use that one a lot, but it allows you to do the same kind of thing and move the spotlight around too. So I don't use that one, obviously, because I didn't even know what it did. This one takes a picture of what you're doing. Okay? So why would I take a picture of what I'm doing? Because if I'm doing something that I want to keep that slide, that allows me to take a picture. Now really, that is only effective if I got open the Mimio tools, which I almost never have open. So if we go down here to Mimio, I open up the Mimio Studio tools, which are much like the smartboard tools, but not as great. The reason I say that is because you can't hide them as well. Okay, so this will allow me to use that button to take a picture, or I don't do this very often. That button to take a picture. I think. So that I can write on anything that's on the board, not just my smartphone. I don't do it very often. And I'm trying to remember which one it is. I should hear the little. Nope, it's not that one. That's how I bring up the Mimio Studio Gallery. I wonder if I'm already in picture mode because I already did that. I don't know. Because that's what this is for. My first out. There we go. There's my tool button. I should be getting a little picture sound again. I don't know why I'm not. Something's acting funny. and stuff doesn't work out the way I want it. Because what it allows you to do is if I was on something and I wanted to write on that web page or something, but I don't know why I thought it was that one, and it just would click and make the sound that it just made a second ago, but it's not doing it. And now it's not doing it when I'm pushing my button. Because it should take a picture and put a green line around the outside of the screen, and then if I have my tools up, I'll pretend I'm doing it anyway. And then if I have my tools up, I can pick my pen and I can draw right on whatever it just took a picture of. Okay. After I take the picture. Because normally, if I'm just on here like this, right, I'm just a mouse. I can't interact with anything other than stuff that's made to interact with. And normally you just push the button and it goes cheek and it makes a green line around it, and then I draw.
So you can't write on a live web page?
That's what I'm saying. That's how you write on a live web page.
But you said it takes a picture, so it would no longer be live.
Well, that's true of Smart too.
Okay.
You're not really writing on it. You're taking a picture of it, and when you come off of it, it goes back to the live web page, right? So you're not. You're really, the Smart is doing the exact same thing if you're used to using a smartboard.
No.
It takes an image of what you're doing. You write on the image, and then it automatically goes into Smart Notebook when you're done with that image. So you can do the same thing. I'll show you the way around it because I don't usually use this. I do everything in Smart Notebook. And I do everything in Smart Notebook because that's what I'm used to and that's what I started with. So if I was using Smart Notebook and I wanted to write on that other web page, I would pull up this little camera right here. Okay? So I'm going to have the camera over in the corner, and I want to get something that I'm going to interact with. So I'm going to say we go look over here. Let's see if we can see here. Okay, so I want to interact with this right here. So I'm going to go and take a picture of it. So if I hit the picture, that's it. Okay. So now when I go back to Smart Notebook. My computer's doing something funny, but okay. And now I got a picture of my picture, but now I've got a picture of what I was just looking at, and I can just interact. It's because I hit it too soon. I think my computer's just acting slow. I'll go back here and do it again. And be a little patient this time and not touch anything until I hear a little flutter.
I did this yesterday.
You know,
It didn't take that long.
the second I touch it, it's going to do something.
That's awesome.
Okay, so wait, maybe I'm doing this wrong. Maybe I'm supposed to go like this and then touch what I want to take a picture of. That's what it is. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going back over my notebook and I've got my nice little picture of Bahamas. And now I can go to my pen and I can, or whatever I can talk about, and say, I was there and I dove out here this summer. And this is the best beach I've ever been to in my life. That's where they filmed Pirates of the Caribbean, the beach where they did that. It was awesome. Yes, and like huge white sands. And this is where we did our shark dive at Shark Junction, which was awesome. Anyway, so that's how I can pull up anything and interact with it. Okay, so I use the little camera thing. The other thing with the camera thing is I can also do parts of stuff. So I can go with this one, and I can go, I want that. And I just take that and put it in Smart Notebook too. So I don't have to take an entire page. I can just take part of what I want, and I can't believe how slow my computer's at. We started for a long time. It should already be over on Smart Notebook, so I'm going to try to be patient here.
It made the quick ones, right?
Yeah, it should already be over there, but that's why it's already, okay. So you can go and take partials of stuff as well. If you want to use pictures. Oops. I'm trying to just grab the one, but it's not letting me.
Is there a whole button erase? Like anything, if I want to erase
Okay,
anything, I drew on
so like let's say we can go through the whole thing and kind of go through. Let's go through the buttons.
Okay.
Okay. So the buttons are pretty much self-explanatory. If I'm going back and forth through slides, I use the left and right arrow key. If I want to add a slide in my presentation, I just hit the plus key, and now I'm at a clean slide, and I can still go back to the last one that I was on if I want to. The save button just saves. The open button opens a item. This makes it go full screen. I don't ever really use that one because then I'm stuck and I need my buttons, so I don't use that very often. The camera I just showed you lets you take pictures of other things. It doesn't have to be a web page, but that's the most frequent thing probably we go to. But you can take a picture of a PDF and just take it part of a worksheet out and bring one problem over to what you're working on or something. Okay. This document camera thing does not work because we don't own smart document cameras because they're really expensive. So if I go to that, it's going to say, hey, you know, I was document camera connected, even though I did. So I can't use that one on there. The table button allows you just to build a table. So if I want a table that's that big, I just go like that, and it lets you build a table. And then I can take that table and I can stretch it out bigger or smaller if I want to, and I can add text inside that table too. Yeah.
Can I send you a tech request?
Yeah, I'm in the middle of Tech Tuesday.
Oh, sorry, okay, bye.
That's okay. So that's what the table button does. And then I've got pens, and I can program what the colors are on the pens if I want to change the colors on the pens. And that's over here. If I want to change what I want to change, I can change the thickness of the pens. I can change the colors of the pens to a myriad of colors. I can change the line styles of the pens if I want to. I can make it end or start with blocks and arrows if I want to when I'm doing my pens as well. When I write something and I want to erase it, there's a couple ways to erase, but the easiest way to erase, and they recommend keeping the small eraser because I'm not going to do this to erase. I can just circle what I want to erase and touch it in the middle. I can just circle what I want to erase and touch it in the middle, and it erases it all.
Good to know.
Inside the circle. So I obviously must have like it or something there. So you just circle and then touch, and it just whatever's inside the circle erases. Okay. So I use Smart for everything, and I have a lot of stuff, PowerPoints and stuff that I had before that I converted into Smart. So if you have PowerPoints or you find PowerPoints, you can easily convert anything into a Smart document. So for instance, I'm going to open up a PowerPoint to show you because I have a lot of teachers that are like, I don't like using that because I've got all these PowerPoints. So if I've already got the work done and I've got a PowerPoint, or I find one, which you can much more easily find a PowerPoint on almost any subject than you can find a Smart document. There we go. Got to spell right. I'm going to go with French because that's going to be the most obscure. PowerPoint French. There we go. Free presentations format for French pre-K through 12. So I find this French game. Let's see, we just did world of teaching. And let's see. I'm just going to go with French since I said French. And we'll go with Fruit Veggie Review. Don't know what that one is. But I've got this PowerPoint, and I want to be able to interact with it with my smartboard and write on it and stuff. Okay, maybe I'll go down. Okay, so I've got this PowerPoint, and I want to use it in Smart. All I have to do after I enable it is go File, Print, and when I go to Print, I pick the Smart at the bottom. You should have Smart Notebook Document Writer. You pick that one and say print, and it's going to turn every single one of these slides into a slide on Smart Notebook. So now that I'm at Smart Notebook, and that's a new feature, by the way. It didn't used to give you this choice.
That's really helpful.
So I haven't used this before. So we'll see how the conversion goes. There's some things I'll do after I do this to lock it to edit. Okay, so I've got this whole thing now as a PowerPoint. The problem that you'll have is the fact that everything moves on it, which is a good thing in a way because now if I want to change this picture or something, I can. But I can also do Control A to select them all, and then I can do Control, I think it's H. Let me make sure. My computer is running really slow. There we go. Locking, and there we go. sorry. So now I just locked everything on this slide. So now nothing moves. The advantage of that is if I'm going to use this to write on, I don't want stuff moving while I'm sitting here writing in my class. So I'll just select it all and lock it all. I can always unlock it if I want to move something or delete something. By the way, it didn't used to do what it just did. It used to just always give you the other option. When I did that, it gave me two options and I wanted to see what that one did. So it used to be if I went to print, Smart Notebook,
Give it to you as one image.
it just gave it you to use one image. It didn't let you edit at
Couldn't
all.
edit anything, that sucks.
No, you couldn't edit anything. You just got pictures, which you're like, so
Great.
I'll do it Smart Notebook pages with images, which was better than nothing. But isn't nearly as good as this. So now I've got, see, it's just one big picture is what it gave me doing that way.
So you've
Which isn't terrible if all you want is the images, but if you ever want to edit it again, you're hosed. So the other way is awesome. That's part of this new version that we got this year.
Just Control K.
Control K locks.
That locks.
So if I click on something, you see the little arrow up there, and I hit Control K. Now I can't move it at all. No, I can't. So now I'm just writing on it.
Does that lock the whole presentation or just
No,
that
just that
slide?
page.
Just that
And the nice thing about doing Control K, here's the other reason, is as I'm doing my presentation, I'm making notes on it, and I'm doing stuff over here, whatever, and then when I'm done, I hit Control L, and all my notes go away, so that I'm ready for the next
What was
class.
Control L? What is that?
Just erases anything you wrote that's not locked. So if I do my whole lesson on here, and I'm done, and I got now next block's coming in, and I go to this, I could just do I actually do Control L, page down, Control L, page, and I do my whole presentation and erase it.
If you forget Control L.
You can just erase. Yeah, you can just use the eraser bit. That's me lazy. I like shortcuts. So that's a nice thing to know because if you already have PowerPoints, it's great to be able to use them. It's smart to be able to interact with them. Smart does work with PowerPoint, but it's really clunky trying to write on PowerPoints. And it's much easier for me to just use the Smart. Okay.
Do the slides transfer better now? Because it used to, you transfer them over and then it had this big white space and all.
Well, it just did great. It just filled the whole thing. This is only moved because I moved it. Yeah, and you're right. It would make it smaller than the page
Yeah.
and shrink it inside, and then I would go and well, I don't know, didn't know this one. So it did a better job than it used to. So we were on version 10 for a long time, and we just upgraded to 2012. Just because I hate changing things on teachers and freak out. But we were doing a whole bunch of other stuff, so I did that too. So that's how you move stuff over. What?
Teachers don't like change?
No.
Especially elementary teachers.
No, they do not like change. So I use Smart for everything. So I keep all my lessons so that, and every year I end up editing them again. But like, that may be why I think I opened Smart like 20 times or something. Okay, so am I through opening them all? So I've got all my notebook lessons saved on my desktop by chapter, so that when I go into chapter 3 and I want to start it up, I go right there and there's my PowerPoint introduction in Smart Notebook. And I frequently save them, like you could see 3.1, 3.2. When I'm done, I'll save it as a PDF, the lesson, so if the kids want to see what we did, but I'll still kind of erase them. So I might start right here. And by the way, this goes away if you click auto hide over here like I have, so there's the start of my lesson. And so if you build your lessons in Smart, you can edit them, but then the next year you're not starting from scratch again. I know I'm starting chapter 3, so I've already got my goal for this lesson up here for this, and I didn't doctor this, I just pulled it up, okay? So I want them to get out their laptops and take the chapter 3 self-assessment as the beginning of class exercise. So I can just pull that up, and by the way, if you can pull up stuff and then go to work. If you don't know that there's a freeze button, the button on your thing says freeze, so if you hit freeze, this can't change. Now I can be on my computer pulling up Dazzle, doing my attendance, and this stays on the board. It doesn't matter what I do over there, this image is frozen on the projector. Okay? So if I have to also remember to get what I want to have on when I unfreeze, because when I unfreeze, it's going to be whatever's on my screen right now. Okay? So you don't want to be sending a letter home to Mrs. Johnson about her naughty son and an old cynical.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what the freeze button does for you. A lot of teachers will split screen. It's easier just to freeze. Okay, so as I'm going through stuff, I can just use this, and as I'm going through something new, and I had to slide it around. This is the PowerPoints that came with my textbook, but they're very edited. And then as I'm going through stuff, I can write on here, and I can edit and change stuff, which I could. I'm going to re-export it now that I can change it. Because if you look through some of my pages, it looks really funny. You'll see I put a white block over something and then typed over that thing again because you couldn't edit the image when you went through it. So I have like this. Like there's a whole thing here that doesn't exist anymore on computers, so I just made a white block over it so it doesn't say it on my slide anymore. So I'll go through this stuff and then edit it every year and say, okay, we don't need to know that or whatever. The other thing that's nice when you're talking about stuff, like when I'm talking about form factor, I've got, and it's something you build as you go. And oh my gosh, I've re-imported my content. It's a gotcha when you get your computer redone. I think I did. Boy, I really like. I didn't save my content. I would be embarrassed. See, that's from 2013. That's 3 years old. I'm going to import that anyway. Just means I will have lost all the pictures and stuff. This is only 2 years old. So here we go to my content, and if you look, I've got content broken up by chapter. So when I'm on chapter 3, and I go to my chapter 3 content, now I've got these pictures. So when I'm talking about power supplies, I don't have to go and pull out a big power supply, or I don't have to pull out, and find a picture. Whenever you find something, you can put it in your own content and organize it yourself, which is really easy. I'll show you how to do that. So if I found a picture for my class, let's see. We're doing French since we're French. Wait, how about we'll do Paris? Paris. That'll be something that comes up there. Okay, so we're going to say that we're going to use this picture in our smartboard lesson for something. Okay, so I'm going to go to this one, and I'm going to copy the image, and I'm going to put it in my smart notebook. So I've got this picture that I'm going to talk about Paris, France, and I want to use it next year. I don't want to look for it again. So I can just take and open up my gallery. I'm going to take off the auto hide, and I'm going to make a new chapter in my content folder. Okay, and I can just drag this up. There, I'm in the France folder, and just drag it right in there. Now that picture is saved in my smart notebook for my content forever. I can rename it too. So right now it just says clipboard. I'm going to rename it to, I will spell Eiffel Tower wrong, so I'm not even going to pretend. I'm just going to put Paris. So that if in the future I'm looking for something, I can go up here under search and type Paris, and I will find every bit of smart notebook content that is related to Paris. So there's a total of 7 pictures relating to Paris, one of which is the one that I just put.
Does that automatically save onto a T drive?
No, and that's what I was saying. It is in your folder, and when if I say, hey, I even say this on my own emails, and I didn't do it to my own. Isn't that terrible? When you're done, you can go and say export as a collection file, and you save it. It's not something you need to worry about now, just so you know. Before I do that, I always send out an email with a video on how to do it, and then obviously I forgot to do it on my own. So, oh well.
What is the purpose of saving it in my content if it's already in the smart notebook?
Because this one wasn't. Okay, gotcha. Why would I do it if it's already in that presentation? If I have it in a presentation like that one, there isn't. But frequently as teachers, right, we don't have a whole, well, I'm going to say a whole presentation for the whole class. Sometimes I'm bringing my class and we're talking about power supplies. And it's a free form discussion because somebody brought up they don't understand how we hook up the power supply to get it to work right on the video card. Okay, I'm talking my own content. Okay,
Yeah.
so and they say I don't know how to figure that out. Well, I don't want to go and look and find a presentation. I know that I just want to go and pull a picture of power supplies up. So I know if I go there, I can pull up that photo, and then I can start talking to my kids about the different connectors that go in the power supply.
When you save the smart notebook presentation,
It does not put it in your content. Maybe that's what if you save
No,
the presentation, it's just in that presentation file. It's not free form to be able to use anywhere I want to.
so you keep these links or you keep these pictures in here explicitly so that in conversation it comes up, you're like,
Or if I'm
"Fire
looking for a
pens."
better picture, I have a presentation and we're going through something and he goes, and I go, oh wait, I got a better motherboard picture because I'm not going to use every single picture that I have on motherboards. I've got a whole bunch of them, but somebody might have a question on something that I'm like, oh, the ZIF socket. Okay, well here's what a ZIF socket looks like now. So there's a 0 insertion 4 socket from the 80s because it's black and white. But anyway, I've got lots of pictures for my content that aren't necessarily ones that I bring up in a prepared class discussion. Because there are class lectures, and then there are class just going over stuff, I think, more fluidly. If we're in class and we've got stuff out and we're working on stuff, and I'm like, you guys gotta know to do this, and no, don't forget to use your standoffs. Here's what you grabbed the wrong picture. Here's what a standoff looks like. You gotta make sure you get it. So there are things. I guarantee you there are things that you're gonna go, oh, I wish I had that picture. Or I used that picture on something and then I'm like, what did I do with that? And if you remember to name it, like see I've got this one named standoff and this one named ZIF. So if we were doing a discussion on ZIF sockets, stands for 0 insertion force, I could go, wrong one, I could go right there and find a couple of different images to talk about the same thing. So
How do you make your subcategories in the?
it just, when you're in there, so when I'm in my content, I can just go here if I want to, and then I can right click and say new folder, and then it makes a folder inside the folder.
Just like in the-
So, yeah, I mean it's, you don't have to, and a lot of people never do content, but I will say that the older you get at teaching, the less you have to, I don't know if I'm going to say this right, the less you have to have a whole PowerPoint done in order to teach that lesson. I mean, as I've done it more and more, I know that I can get through that without having something to keep me on track. Because PowerPoint, I may need, right? So PowerPoints keep me on task, and I remember to teach everything that I need to teach. So that's one reason I like to have my notebook lesson set up, but I also like to keep the pictures so that we can talk about it. If a kid all of a sudden has a question after we've gone through the whole lesson, I don't want to necessarily go back. I'll just drag the picture out again and we can talk about it right there. Although,
So every picture, you personally, every picture that you're saving in your smart notebook presentations, are you also saving those in my content?
if I remember, I almost always do. And a lot of times it'll be in the middle of class. It'll be like this. Somebody will ask me a question about a specific motherboard. And and it's not like it was part of my presentation, but next time it will be. So that they say, okay, I'm going to go
Okay. That makes sense.
invite. I'm spelling terrible. So we found this particular motherboard, and because somebody had a question on the one that they taught in class, because they teach us different
Right.
motherboards in class. So we had what to do? View image. There we go. I'm gonna do that. So we ended up talking about this one. Well, we just talked about it. So now it becomes a good one for me to use in the test too. So we just brought up this new one. So I'll just take that. I'll copy the image. Even if I'm not going to save it in a presentation, I'll paste it in here, and then that big, and then I'll immediately just throw it in that chapter because it belongs in chapter 4. So now I've got it for next time, and I've got more options for graphics to use and stuff. And I'll frequently, right now I'm not going to name it because I didn't look up what it was, but I'll name it for the kind of motherboard that it was. I use a lot of graphics in my class because you can't just talk about parts, you have to show the parts when it comes to that kind of stuff. And that most kids, or a lot of kids, learn visual learners and stuff. And there's all kinds of things that you can find. And the last thing you want to do is say, where did I find that? Oh crap. Whereas if you just found it, I just paste it and throw it right in there. In fact, I could have just copied, I think I could just copy this image. And I could paste it straight into here, I think. Maybe I can't. Maybe I have to paste it here and drag it. It's okay. So I build my own content full of images in here, and then I've got my own folder, and they didn't necessarily happen succinctly too. Sometimes I was like, I talk about a lesson, I build it, and then later on I go, hey, that was a really good lesson, I'm going to build that into one I want to keep so that I do it just like that last time. Kind of thing. So I have both. This is stuff I gotta make sure is on the T-drive that I forgot my. I'm going to look, maybe it's someplace else. So that's that. I know I'm kind of hitting a lot of stuff really fast there, but I use it on everything, on every lesson. I try to have stuff set up ahead of time, even if all I have set up ahead of time is the learning objective for today. That could be enough to start off the thing if I got all my images and stuff in here. And I know I'm going to teach you how to calculate the wattage of a power supply. So now all I have to do is go down here to power supplies, and I can grab a wattage supply calculation worksheet, and we can start talking about the different wattages of whatever. I know that's specific to my class,
Yeah,
but
super
if you've got a whole bunch of images related to that subject, it's easier to, if you've got a good goal to teach, I don't know if from the hip is the right word to use because I don't know if that's looked that well, but you know what I'm saying. We don't necessarily have time to put the amount of hours that we'd like to put in every single lesson, but if you've got a nice gallery set up, it still looks like you did. Yeah, because you've got a lot of other stuff back up. So the only other thing I wanted to kind of go through was the document camera. All the high school that wanted them have them, and anybody else, there should be one in your room. Don't know if maybe you took one. It was if they wanted one. If you use a document camera in class, everybody has a software on theirs already, and it is the IPEVO software. And I just said that, it's got to be on there. Unless I didn't put it on mine. I don't see how that's possible.
That's tragic.
Huh?
That is tragic.
IPEVO, okay, so the software is called IPEVO, and I'm going to put it on my computer real fast because everyone's supposed to have it on there. I don't understand how it couldn't have it.
I know.
Because I used this, oh no, I didn't, mine's 64 gig image. That's why it's not on there.
You said, that is why. Like, you have any idea why it's not on there? Oh.
Well, mine's not, I rebuilt my computer exactly the same as the teacher's computers, but then I made it 64-bit instead of 32. And that's-
Is that why your screen is 1,000 times more clear than mine?
No,
Oh,
has nothing
maybe
to
we'll
do
come
with
back to that later.
that has nothing
Yeah.
to do with that.
We'll just-
That's something different
It just
altogether.
looks so much prettier than mine. I'm just a little jealous.
It's not even jealous. You honestly
Where are you-
can't
what
see
room
what
are you
I'm
in?
writing.
What room are you in?
212.
You have the exact same projector I do.
I
Exactly
know.
the same.
No. It doesn't. No, I'm talking about your desktop. Looks very organized and nice.
Oh, you mean
It's not that
that
it-
does?
yeah.
That's because if you want fences, I'll install fences. Fences allows you to make folders and add stuff in the folders, so I may have a mess here, but you can't see
Those
it.
are crap. You
And if I
can't
don't
see.
look at my screen, all my mess disappears, and all you can see is the one that I. So you can make
Is
it.
it fun?
You can make it. Yeah.
Fences.
She
you
can
say?
have an older projector because the elementary school does have some of the English projectors. Also.
Big cool. That's nonsense.
I'm not gonna argue that one with you.
Oh, I just meant me personally. I can't.
Oh,
speak for
well,
the
I was
elementary schools
just
away.
saying.
Yeah, I borrowed Sarah Holstein's pen for about a week because.
I don't even see it. I should see Pivo right there. Flip camera in school, because that's the. P?
I
You know what? It's P2V. That's what it comes up under, right? It comes under it's because it's the point to view software.
It's green, no, it's on my note. It's on my, it's on my desktop, it's green.
So what does this do?
It's a document. I did document
Oh.
camera.
It's a
So you could,
document
so
It's like all
yeah.
other document cameras.
So you could put, you know, and I use it to when I'm doing PCs with large groups to be able to put over the PC. Teresa uses it for art in her class, so you can project whatever you put underneath it up on the screen, and then you can put it up on the screen, then take a picture of it, and then write on it on your smartboard stuff too. So for a long time there was a push to get Mimios. Mimios cost about 10 times what document camera does.
Do we all have them? I haven't seen it in my group.
You should have one. Oh, wait, no, I don't know whether Bob's ever took one. Bob's probably did.
Okay.
So you probably don't have one.
Alright.
But
But
I know that Whitney did, so you need to go look over in Whitney's room and steal it from them, because I know that she had one and they won't use it.
Okay. I've been wondering if we had document cameras, so
Yeah,
this is
I just don't, yeah, everybody with the,
It's
Yeah, that looks
okay.
right.
well, I'm getting,
You seem pretty upset about this.
I am, because I use it all the time. It's just I redid my computer this summer and obviously missed some installation things.
Question?
P2.
Yeah. What?
Are we-
It's P2V. It's point to view is what it's.
Are we getting dongles? Hate using that word.
dongle.
But the ones that we can plug the iPad in so that you can see the iPad? Do you know?
No.
No, you don't know? Or no, we're not getting?
No, you're not getting it.
Okay, so then I'd
But-
like to put in a request for
but-
document camera.
But I thought that Ed said that there was some software that somebody was using that just made your iPad show up on your thing.
It's Brad. I'm not sure that Brad.
No?
I'm not sure. It's possible. He's supposed to be investigating it, but
Okay.
I've never heard of that. I don't know how it would
I haven't had time to look into it all.
magically do that.
Because I'll be
The downloads aren't
honest,
that expensive.
this project kind of jumped up on us,
Yeah.
and it was very clear that I don't have time to do 300 laptops and 350 iPads and teach half time and do everything else. Just I'm whining right now, but
I know what they use at conferences for, to prepare them for. Remember me, I told you which I was on.
there has to be something that allows you to do. I guarantee you, because it would be ridiculous if we went and hung. I won't do it. So, but it would be ridiculous to hang cables down to augment.
You just, there's something to put on your computer.
I would be there redoing it all the time.
No,
there's got to be a way to just hook it up either.
It works by way.
There's got to be, yeah.
One of the two.
Okay. Yeah. No, I haven't. Used, ours was a dongle that plugged into the.
I keep with document drivers. I send in the drivers folder, not in the staff software folder.
You win.
There we go. Presenter. See, here's the thing. There is a newer version that when I put it on, broke it every time I record it.
You probably don't want to go with that version.
I know. I wish I could remember. Okay, this one I did 422. I'm gonna go with the old one. I'm gonna go with this one. Oh wait, no, that one worked. That was 2013. I'm sure that works. Set up presenter 3018. Presenter 3018. There we go. If it starts, my computer's so dang slow right now. I gotta reboot. Could be the 5,000 smart thing that I gotta be.
It's hard to say. I just can't get over it.
I have a stand, I've got that metal stand, but I don't think I've got a camera.
The camera's
You have a
probably tucked
stand?
away
Okay.
somewhere nicer than.
Maybe the camera's somewhere.
I just don't